Our next speaker needs no introduction, but we'll get one anyway. The inimitable Reverend Billy of the Church of Stop Shopping.
Amen, hallelujah.
Stop shopping.
What kind of a pulpit is this here? Amen. I'm honored to be here today. Thank you to Andrew and Simeon and the people who have worked so hard over the years to preserve a place that gave us the culture that we live in now, that is in our bodies and is in our language. We fetishized a kind of division in American culture where we cut ourselves off from the sources of who we are. It's about us, and not a lot of people know why. But that destruction of our immediate past, our self-erasing history, is something we now know is a mistake. We must remember and live in our past to have a future that makes sense. NYU, if we can look at NYU, I mean, it looks like a nation state. It's so huge. But if we're looking into the big toe, the brick big toe of this place. If anybody in NYU listens to the reads what we have said here today, one thing that you must feel somewhere in your conscience, NYU person, eventually you will undermine your own university by treating your community this way. Eventually, you even now have people within your community, your community of communities, that are dismayed that they have a rogue administration who feels that its main assignment is investment and real estate speculation. We can only hope right now, with what's happening in the macroeconomics around us, that you do not have the unlimited funds to join the big real estate speculators in New York City that we think in our moment of cynicism ultimately must be the politics of our town. It doesn't have to be, and it won't be, because community groups will finally rise up and embody the conscience that comes to us from the memory of those plays on that stage, that comes to us from E.E. Cummings' poems, and Theodore Dreiser, and Edna St. Vincent Millay, and Eugene O'Neill. Those words still ring in our bodies. When the towers crashed down, Falwell and Robertson said that we deserved it because we're post-religious here, but we have a kind of spiritual life in New York City. It goes back many years. We have a way that we consider creation, that we consider the unknown, that we consider what life is, and it comes from the arts. That the arts have been our spirit. If we keep cutting ourselves off from these people who gave of their lives to go into the unknown on our behalf, knowing that we would arrive decades later, that we would come walking into their poems, walking into their plays, being one with them, arguing with them, responding negatively, positively, but being alive in Morning Becomes Electra, being alive there. That is a kind of spiritual life that New Yorkers have. It's our identity. It's what makes us this place. Place, that word, place. NYU, we want to remain a place. And to have a place, we have to have language. We have to have conversation. We have to bump into each other, collide with each other, make new things that are surprising, that may not be immediately in your textbooks. But we have to have that confusion, that rising up, that resurrection, that fall, all that dancing. We must have that again. Amen, hallelujah. Amen. Amen. And so, I put a prayer to that mother, father, mysterious thing that has given us the arts, that we feel flowing from that building into our bodies. I ask for your blessing. You give us so much power You come into our voices, into our raised hands. We will oppose NYU, and we will repropose and live in our community. Amen. Hallelujah.
Thank you very much, Reverend Billy. That is a tough act to follow. But let me just say, you know, we're not here today to say NYU get out of our neighborhood. We're here to say NYU don't force us out of our neighborhood. You know, this building for years and years and years housed residents, and in fact, until just a year and a half ago, there were about 20 people who lived there, many of them elderly, who one day suddenly got an eviction notice from the NYU Law School telling them basically that they had a month to get out. That is not the way to do business. That is not the way to be a part of a community. And NYU has time and again taken this sort of tack. We don't take issue with the people of NYU or with the wonderful work that they do. It's the administration and the decision makers who have done such awful things and continue to do such awful things and want to wrap it up in the mantle of saying that somehow they are now more community friendly, that they are listening to this community, that they are working with this community when their deeds say otherwise. There is no need for them to demolish this building, and this is the nose of the camel. There is 3.5 million square feet of additional NYU behind what's about to come in over here. And to give you a picture of what that means, in the last 42 years, NYU added 3.5 million square feet of space to this neighborhood. If you want to see what NYU has done cumulatively over the last 42 years, done yet again in the next 20, then say yes to the NYU plan. No! But if you want to say that this cut and paste solution is unacceptable, that taking a little piece of a building and tacking it onto a new building and saying that that's preserving a great history, if you believe that's acceptable, that's fine. But we're here to say, no, that is not acceptable. That's not what this neighborhood is about. That's not the future of the village that we want, and that's not preserving our history. So we are here today to say to NYU, do the right thing, live up to your commitments, honor the neighborhood that you're in, and we're here to say to the city of New York, do your job. This is a part of our history. You should be stepping in. You should be preserving it. You should be saying halt to NYU. You cannot move ahead and do this. NYU, keep your word.
NYU, keep your word. NYU, keep your word. NYU, keep your word. NYU, keep your word. NYU, keep your word. NYU, keep your word. NYU, keep your word. NYU, keep your word. NYU, keep your word. NYU, keep your word. NYU, keep your word. NYU, keep your word. NYU, keep your word. NYU.
Now I also just want to mention we have people who are distributing literally hundreds and hundreds of flyers to people today, letting them know what's happening, telling them to call President Sexton's office, telling them to call 311 and the Landmarks Preservation Commission and to say, you've got to stop this. This cannot be allowed to continue. This is not the history of Greenwich Village or New York City. This is not what we want to see happening.
Amen.
Preserve, don't demolish.
Preserve, don't demolish. Preserve, don't demolish. Preserve, don't demolish. Preserve, don't demolish. Preserve, don't demolish. Preserve, don't demolish. Preserve, don't demolish. Preserve, don't demolish. Preserve, don't demolish. Preserve, don't demolish.
Oh yeah.
Preserve, don't demolish.
Oh yeah.
Preserve, don't demolish.
Oh yeah.
Preserve, don't demolish.
Save the playhouse.
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 Preserve, don't demolish.